Did you not get my message that I sent you about the Apple? I sent you a message.
I did not hear it because I have a message for you.
Also, do you know how many people have come up to me and said, did you know that Steve really doesn't hate apple fritters? And I've said, yeah, he's a liar.
Cat's out of the bag now, Steve.
I sent last week. I sent Quick Trip's story to you, and Quick Trip it was an apple pie donut, and I sent it to you on Instagram, and you never responded.
I don't know if I looked at it.
Don't send Steve Instagram messages.
Yeah.
No, who
But
sends Instagram messages?
I was just sending you an Instagram story from Quick Trip about their apple pie donut because I wanted to know your feelings on that, if they were different than like apple fritter.
Apple pie donut, because you talked about it. So yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to taste it.
Do we have Royal fidget spinners? I feel like I need to do something with my hands.
My friend Andrew texted me, just caught up to Money Donuts, great episodes about crypto and student loans, but I'm still left a bit confused, mostly about how someone's favorite donut could be an apple fritter monster.
Did you just like type that up in your note?
No, that's a real text
You made that up.
from a qualified listener. I verified him.
What makes a listener qualified?
I verified him.
Does he have a blue tick next to his name?
He does.
Is that what it is?
He does. Here's my pitch for the cinnamon twist donut with sugar on it.
Oh.
Credit unions are great in nature, right?
Okay.
Credit union products are really good. They're like the cinnamon twist. The extra interest that you get from your certificates is like the little bit of sugar on top of the cinnamon twist donut.
Because it's sweet?
Well, it's sweet and it's like...
Who doesn't like straight sugar? I think that's what he's trying to say.
Right.
But what's the twist part? Is there a twist?
There's no twist.
There's no twist.
It's just
the shape of it,
It's
James.
just the shape, yeah.
Okay.
Would you feel the same way if it wasn't twisted? Like if it was like a Long John with cinnamon coated in sugar?
Well, I guess there's just round donuts with sugar on it, right?
Yeah, it would be the
So now we don't even need the cinnamon?
twist donut, but not twisted. Yeah, but the cinnamon's not there because it's twisted. Like it's just two donut doughs twisted together. It's like a pretzel.
So I think that really sums up how people recognize certificates, because a lot of people don't know what they are.
Okay, what is a certificate?
So a certificate account at a bank or credit union.
Not to be confused with a CD.
Ooh, a certificate of deposit.
Mm-hmm. They're different. Credit unions don't have CDs.
Because we have shares.
Correct.
What do you mean we have shares? Oh, like as a member, you own part of the credit union.
Your dollars count as a share in the credit union. So we have share certificates, which we just shorten to certificates.
Okay. You know what? I didn't know this, so that I was like, oh, they're not the same thing?
No, they're not. It's a common misconception.
For the purpose of like how to think about them, they are the same thing.
Okay. All right, go back into what is a certificate and why it's important.
So certificates.
Certificates. Does that mean that what is a certificate, James? Does that mean my account is authentic? Is it my blue check mark of Royal Credit Union or?
No, that is not a Royal Credit Union certificate, Cooper.
Oh, okay. Well, what is it?
So it's like you leave your money in your account at Royal and you promise not to take it out, and we'll reward you with a higher interest rate.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like a savings account, but there's a time period for which you say, I'm not going to touch the money. I'm going to leave it at Royal Credit Union for a while. 6 months, 12 months, 48 months. There's a lot of different lengths available.
So what's the benefit to our members?
You get a higher interest rate.
And what's the benefit to why would the credit union offer this?
Because we know that your deposit is going to stay at Royal Credit Union for that time period. So we can use the money to loan out to other members, for example.
Okay, so if I have a certificate, can I just oops, I need the money. Can I just pluck it out of there?
Technically, yes, you can, but there will be a penalty.
Oh.
Because you promised to leave it in there for that time period when you signed up and opened the account.
Gotcha. Don't break promises with Royal. Got it. Interesting. So what are the rates right now compared to savings? Are they worth it?
The rates are really great right now. They're actually a lot higher than savings accounts, which is awesome.
What triggered me into wanting to do this episode?
Yeah, why are we talking about this?
I'm going to fill you in for a little bit. Is that we were talking about certificates and
we still have our minimum of 100 to open them?
No. No minimum.
We don't have a minimum? I thought it was 100. That's a really big benefit because that's not the case with a lot of financials, even other credit unions.
Do you want to continue to just
sorry.
the mic around?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better about not moving my head because it disrupts my audio and I like to be heard. Yeah, because I like to look at James.
Well, you just have to pivot.
Yeah, but then when I
Like
do
this.
that, the microphone makes noise. I
Mine
just
didn't
prefer,
make any sound. Did you hear it?
I
Watch
just
this.
prefer not to share a table side. Like I prefer to be the only one on the side of the table.
I'll
Noted.
Let me write that in my notes quick.
Well, I don't really like if you're next to me, it's fine. But I feel like I look at James more because I get angrier at him. Or I like to see like when he says something, I'm like, oh, is he actually like think that was dumb? Or oh no, he's joking.
I could
Okay.
see that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to read them a little
Yeah.
bit easier.
There's always a little bit of context that I think is lost in that podcast setting. I would agree with that.
Well, that's why you should be watching the videos too. Listen to it all the way through and then come back through for the video.
Yeah,
Just
I'm not gonna lie, I've never watched one of the videos.
I send all of them for you to review.
Yeah, I only listen to the audio because I have to do it when I'm driving. I don't have any other time that I can just sit and listen.
Cooper.
You guys, and I just hope that James. I
Okay.
just agree with whatever James says about the videos.
Oh
Oh my goodness.
You are missing out on some things that I've done. Okay.
So
yeah,
wait,
I can't.
let's take that. So you told Steve to put this in the video, like insert a XYZ in the video at a certain time period, and you never even came back and looked at it. You just like, oh.
No, I think other people would enjoy it. If I can't do it while I'm doing something else, I can't.
So you are the kind of person that might have a problem with the certificate then, because you're like, I need to be doing something else with that money.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I tried a certificate one time, can't do it. Like I cannot, like having it locked in there is hard for me. Like when I can see it, like a 401k, things like that, where it's locked in there, I can't see it. That's better. But having certificates like on my account,
You feel like,
I feel restricted.
oh,
I was thinking of it the other way. Like that's a benefit for me. Then I don't feel tempted to spend it. Like, all
Yeah,
right,
no.
put my funds in there. I'm not going to touch them.
well, how do you do with savings then?
I hide my savings accounts.
Can we hide our certificate accounts?
You can hide
Probably.
it.
I don't know. There's something about it where it makes me anxious if I really needed it.
This is perfect. We'll try to revisit this and get you to swap over to a certificate by the end of this podcast.
It's not going to happen.
Oh, wrong answer.
All right, let's move back to certificates. So we were talking about certificates one day, like James and I usually do. And
Typical Tuesday.
as you might know, we ordered a van, but we're like waiting for,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
You ordered a brand new vehicle?
Mhm.
Wow. Did
Yeah.
you finish your bathroom remodel
Yeah.
downstairs?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Did you
He's been
buy a
listening.
new house? My God.
I went and looked at 2 this week.
What?
Yeah.
Steve's been taking all of the advice that he's been getting on Money Donuts here, and he is just rocking it.
Yeah. But we have some savings that we're going to put down as a down payment when the van
Mhm.
gets here. And I start kicking around with these high certificate rates. Should I be moving my money into them if I know that it's also another year before this van actually gets here?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's what we concluded. We were like, absolutely. Like, that's a great spot to do some long-term savings for a specific goal where you know that you're not going to need the funds for a while.
Well, and our kids' accounts, we just, we put a little bit of money each month. And so those get a little high and we don't want them to spend it all on Squishmallows. So sometimes.
Because you want to be able to see the floor in their bedroom. Yeah.
Yes.
I think they are good.
Squishmallows?
Good investment.
No, I think certificates for kids' accounts are a really good idea. You put a little bit in there. Once they hit $100, throw it in a certificate. And when that one comes up, you could roll it into another. It's if you're not going to use it, it teaches them a little bit about interest, but also can take that temptation, which can be there too sometimes when we're like, oh, well, we have all this money set aside. We could borrow it and pay it back. I don't know.
Certificates are just one of those products that I think a lot of people just forget about because they haven't had great rates in the past 2 years or 3 years. Rates have been really, really low. So you're not
10 years.
missing much.
25 years.
But now that rates are on the up and up again, they're rising. So the Fed is working hard to curb inflation by raising the prime rate, and that is raising the rates for both deposits and for loans right now. So we're seeing higher rates for borrowing. So people are getting penalized for spending in the form of higher interest rates on their car loan or their house loan. But they're also seeing higher rates for saving when they're not spending. So if you keep your money in a certificate channel, you're getting a guaranteed return on your investment for a good rate.
So if you don't need to buy that brand new car right now, throw that money you saved in a certificate, keep it in there, earn the good money.
So when do certificates make sense?
When do certificates make sense? Yeah, I think it's all about when you're saving that money and you know that you're not going to need it for a while. And you're like, I could just keep it in savings or I could keep it in my checking account, but I really think that there's benefits to earning a little bit higher rate. So I'm going to go the certificate route. And maybe I want to keep it at the financial that I'm at. I don't want to go off and start a new relationship with an online only financial or go somewhere else that I don't know the level of service that I'm going to get. I'm going to stay at the financial that I'm already with so that I can, keep it all in the same online banking view and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And should I be paying attention to like terms? Like how long I'm going to keep it in there?
Oh yeah, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to the length of the certificate. So, there's anything from 3 months, which is paying the same as a savings account right now. So probably don't look at a 3-month certificate because you'd be best off just keeping it in your savings account where you have flexible access to that cash then. But, there's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, all the way out to, I think, 5 years. Like that's a long-term view of your finances. So maybe you're not quite ready to go to that point yet, but you're like, I can part with it. I can set it aside for 12 months. I could set it aside for 15 months. Something like that is a good way to gauge how long you want to invest in a certificate for.
Do you think people care about rates?
I think people have been ignoring rates because they've been so low for so long.
Yeah,
but
they
now
haven't really made an impact until now.
Yeah, now you're looking at it and you're like, oh, a car loan is at 3%, is at 4%, is at 5% and up. And mortgage rates are, 5, 6, 7%. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but the rates are predicted to continue to rise. So rates are becoming top of mind for a lot of people.
Let's give people 3 good ideas for why you might want a certificate. So I'm going to go first. Mine is if they can be a really good idea. Like James said, if you want to keep your money at your financial, if you want to earn a little bit higher interest rate, but are kind of one of those more modest investors where you don't really want to, play with your money too much. So they're a good, safe way to earn a little bit more, keep your money safe at your financial where you already trust.
Yeah, certificates are insured at Royal Credit Union by NCUA, the same as any other deposit account. So there is no risk of losing the money compared to like a stock or bond account or something like that, where there is a chance that you could lose it.
Do you have to be worried about those penalties?
So if you choose to withdraw the funds before your certificate term is up, you will have to pay a penalty. If you say, oops, I actually do need the $1,000 that I put away for a rainy day because something bad happened, my fridge went out or something, I don't know what the situation would be, then you are going to face a penalty for that. And it's typically between 3, for the term of the certificate, the penalty can be around 1/3 of the interest that you would have earned on it.
You have to pay some of the interest as the penalty if you take your money out early. And it depends on the financial what that is, but it's something to be mindful of.
So if you are nearly to the end, you could still come out ahead even if you have to take the penalty, depending on what the rate was. So there's a little bit of math that you have to do on your end. But if you just put it in there, you'd have to pay the penalty. That could actually leave you with less than you started with. So just something to be mindful of in the world of certificates.
How does the interest compound? Is it every month or is it every year?
Yeah, it is monthly
They're
compounding
monthly.
at Royal.
Which is fun because then you earn more per month because you're earning interest on your interest.
Yeah, and that's really why even in a rising rate environment, a certificate can still be that great investment because you're starting to save now and you say, I'm going to be saving for another year or even 9 months, whatever the case may be. So you're going to say, I'm going to compound that and my interest is going to earn interest for all that time instead of me just sitting and waiting and not doing a certificate saying, oh, I think rates are going to go up. Like I'm going to get a better rate in the future. Like if you lock it in now, you're letting that benefit roll over month after month after month.
Mm-hmm.
So
we could do a whole thing on compound interest, I think. I would consider a certificate if I was saving for something long term, okay? And if I had a chunk of money already saved up. Just because, the more money you have in that certificate, the more you're going to earn utilizing that interest rate. And so for me, I would have to have a chunk saved to lock into a certificate. Other than that, I'm like, well, I might as well just keep it in my savings. Even if I would earn more with the certificate, it's not enough to make me lock that money up, is my personal view on it. But I think they are really great for people. Like my grandparents use them a lot because, they're at that point in their life where they don't really want to be risky with their investments, right? But they're not using this money, so they lock it into a certificate, earn a little bit, and then, if something happens when that certificate's up, they can, take that money out, or they just roll it over and take the interest, whatever it may be. So for them, they're earning a little bit, but also keeping their money safe and accessible if needed.
To that, I would say, well, you have some homework to do. There's a lot of online calculators out there. I think you should plug in your numbers, even if you have $50 to drop in there and say, what's my time worth for how long it's going to take to open a certificate? So at Royal Credit Union, you can open it online. You don't even have to go to an office to open a certificate and say, could I do it for $4? Would I do it for $20? Would I do it for $50?
It is tough because I do see a lot of your points and it does make sense. I think there's a lot of people that have that same opinion.
I think they're great for specific things. Like kids, they're great for kids. They're great for kids. Great to save their money and to be able to teach them something while you're doing it and look at that interest together and talk about the value of saving and keeping money, using interest and that kind of thing. But
I always go back to how lazy I am, though, too. Is it going to be a heavy lift for me to open these accounts, do you think?
Yeah.
It's actually really easy.
That's where you got to come back to the calculator. Like, look at what I could be making if I had, this amount of money at this interest rate for this number of months. What's the payoff? What's in it for me? Does it make sense? I guess that's the challenge for the listeners.
Real world conversation. I have the van that's coming. I have somewhat of a chunk.
Do you get one of those Kia ones that look like an SUV?
Mm-mm.
Spaceship?
No, it's Toyota.
Do those ones look like an SUV?
It looks like a spaceship.
Looks like a spaceship.
It looks like a flying car. It might actually fly in 2023.
If your minivan flies,
If Harvey gets his license,
that would maybe consider
riding in my vehicle.
Yes. No, we're just going to make it the Mobile Money Donut Podcast.
Mobile
pad.
Money Donut.
No, it's going to be a hardworking vehicle. You're going to have to rent space in it for Money
I'm
Donuts.
Not renting space in a minivan.
So I have this chunk, but I'm worried.
Chunk of money, to be clear.
Chunk of money.
Not a chunk of donut lodged behind the seat of your minivan.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
Oh, maybe I would. Free snacks.
So the van's coming, but I don't have a set date. I'll have a 3-month, hey, it's going to be here. So we have this money, but I'm worrying about tying it all up because that's my down payment. But I am also continuously adding to this fund to have a bigger down payment. But would it be better to put some of that money into a certificate, even if it goes over when the van gets here, so that I can pay that down later and maybe even refinance that vehicle?
I think you need to use the online calculator and do some calculations and decide if it is the best fit for you.
But that does hit at another way that...
That was a really James thing to say. You channeled him, right? I
did, but it's also I think the right answer. If you put half into that certificate, I think you have to calculate okay, is it worth the, $100 in interest? I don't know what you would make on it.
$100,000
to do that, or is it worth, just having that, $5,000 to just add to that down payment?
That's a lot of calculations. This is a lot of homework for me.
I think you brought up a really good point that we sometimes overlook, though, is that you can structure your certificates. There's no limit. There's no minimum to open one. So you could take out 3 certificates for $1,000. And if 6 months in, you say, I actually need $1,000 to cover myself, you're only taking out that one. You leave the other 2,000 in there at the great rate.
Did you hear that? I brought up a good point. All right, go on.
You with me, Cooper?
Yeah, but
what's the benefit?
Can I open a certificate with $5 in it?
Yes.
No minimums. That's what that means.
It's just your time is really the limiting factor, I guess.
I would tell you to use a calculator and see how much interest you would get on that $5.
Don't mock James.
$5 is a little low. Maybe depending on what you think you would need, I would probably say 250, 500 buckets would maybe be wiser. But
500 buckets? Is our currency buckets now?
$250.
Have you ever thought about if our money wasn't what it was? If it was chickens? If
chickens?
We just had a bunch of chickens and I'd be yeah, James, I'll give you 3 chickens for that van. And then I'd have to bring you 3 chickens. I don't know. Things I think about.
I don't know if I should put that in the framework of a certificate. Like you would leave your chickens somewhere for a long period of time.
In a really nice barn and they'd get fatter. It's the same thing.
3 chickens for a van sounded low when you pitched it, but now I think you might have something.
You're onto
Right?
something.
It's a really good chicken sound.
Thank you. I've been practicing when you guys aren't here with the mic.
He's been waiting for the day that we get on a chicken tangent so he could caw like a chicken.
All right. I think we've hit all your notes on certificates. Is there any other things that you think we should be talking about?
Did our conversation change your perception of certificates at all? Does it have you thinking about them in a fresh light? Like, oh, maybe that is something I should look into. Or do you still feel like, no, not for me?
Maybe. I don't know. If I had enough money to be able to just set aside and not worry about having access to that money, yeah, I'd do it. But if that was like a good chunk of my savings and I only had, a certain amount of months saved in my actual savings account, it would just make me nervous. Like I'm a natural spender, but I'm also very nervous about money at the same time, which is like I'm an anxious spender.
Don't put your emergency fund in a certificate, I guess. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could see that.
I mean, that makes sense. And
Even like a down payment or something for, a home. Like you just never know. I don't know.
yeah, how are you going to use the products to your advantage in as comfortable as you're going to feel about them is where you need to be.
Yes.
Personal finance. It starts with personal.
It is. We call it personal finance for a reason.
There we go. I knew you had some sort of saying like that.
It's true. We'll give you the tips, tricks, tools, general guidelines, but you got to make it work for you.
Got to do the homework.
You got to use all the calculators you can find.
Got to do the homework. So the twist was, if there was a twist, is that Cooper was not a big certificate fan, and now she's opening certificates for my children. She's committed to them.
Yes, I have. Yes. Yep.
The homework is the twist. Like you got to figure out if that's right for you.
But the sugar's still good. That interest, I could go for some high interest right now on my deposits.
I feel like you're the person that just like licks the sugar off the twist on it. Like you're not in it for the whole package. You're licking that sugar off. But just like some people aren't in for the whole certificate package. They're in for that interest rate.
You called me a sugar licker.
Sugar licker?
Sugar licker.
Oh my goodness.
Like a panda. They eat sugar cane. Or I was going to say a sugar glider, but I don't think they're called that because they eat sugar.
Squirrels?
They're not squirrels. They're sugar gliders. They're like squirrels, but they have wider.
I'm going to have to brush up on my Wildcrats knowledge here. This is something that I should know probably.
I'm surprised of all the things in your head
Cooper,
that it's not what you...
Wild Cooper.
You're practicing that when you were waiting for me?
Cooper,
Steven?
if people like money donuts, what should they do?
They should find us on their favorite podcast listening platform or at rcu.org/podcast and leave us a rating, review, a sweet message, or send us a question.
And unlike Cooper, you should also watch the videos because there are a lot of fun and you get to see me throw stuff at James and Cooper.
Well, and how can they make sure that they watch all of our podcast videos?
And all of our educational videos that talk about all the fun stuff we do at Royal Credit Union. Woo.
Steve, that was your chance to be like, subscribe to the Money Donuts YouTube channel so you'll never miss an episode.
Steve wants all the channels. He wants them to come to all.
Yeah, I do.
It's tricky.
And if you want to watch these episodes of Money Donuts, please visit the Royal Credit Union YouTube channel and subscribe there to get notifications anytime we upload any type of new video.
All right, go open that certificate, Cooper.